Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Directors meeting for September 18th, 2018. I'd like to welcome everyone that's here in attendance as we go about to do the city's business. Madam Clerk, if you would, please read the roll.
Director Hendricks, Director Richardson, Director Peck, Director Hines, Director Wright, Director Wyrick, Director Campiris, Director Fortson, Director Adcock, Vice Mayor Webb, Mayor Stadler.
Here. Let me call on City Director Joan Adcock for our invocation, please. I don't have it.
Would you all bow, please? Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today to praise you and thank you for all you've given us and all you've allowed us to do in this day. Thank you, Lord, for our blessings, and thank you for our city, and thank you for all of our employees who are, we know, our greatest asset. Guide and direct us as we do this meeting tonight, that everything we do and say will be pleasing to you. Guide and direct all of our employees as they go home and as they do their jobs, that you keep them safe, you keep them close to you. We ask you now to bless all the people here in this room tonight and those watching on TV, and be with us as we go to the city's business. Amen.
If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we not have a quorum? We don't have 8. We don't have 8.
This will be a short meeting. Okay, we're going to go on. We're going to do a presentation here in a minute, and I'm going to take the agenda a bit out of order. Madam Clerk, we can go ahead and deal with the consent agenda, if you would, please. And items 1 through 10.
The consent agenda consists of a motion to approve the minutes of the July 2nd, 2018, July 17th, 2018, August 7th, 2018, and August 21st, 2018 Little Rock City Board of Directors meetings. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with River City Hydraulic in the total amount of $402,078.40 for the purchase of 2 rear loader sanitation trucks for the Public Works Department and for the purposes. A resolution authorizes the city manager to enter into a contract with Mark McClarty Ford in the total amount of $111,008 for the purchase of 4 Ford Interceptor sports utility vehicles for the Little Rock Police Department and for the purposes. A resolution authorized the use of Home Investment Partnership Program funds for the acquisition and rehabilitation of the property located at 1519 East Twin Lakes Drive in an effort to maximize neighborhood revitalization efforts and for the purposes. A resolution authorized the city manager to execute a contract with CHI St. Vincent Medical Group in the amount not to exceed $175,000, utilizing the 2018 Community Development Block Grant Funds to provide health care services for low-income citizens and for other purposes. A resolution authorized the city manager to execute a contract with CareLink in the amount of $60,000, utilizing the 2018 Community Development Block Grant Funds to provide Meals on Wheels to eligible participants and for the purposes. A resolution to amend Little Rock, Arkansas Resolution 14,446 of November the 1st, 2016 to authorize the city manager to extend the contract with VSP to include an additional $75,000 for group vision insurance for city employees for a second 12-month period effective January 1st, 2018 and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the City of Little Rock, Arkansas to participate in the National League of Cities Prescription Drug Discount Program and for other purposes. A resolution to transfer title to property owned by the City of Little Rock, Arkansas by quitclaim deed in exchange for property owned by Better Community Developers by quitclaim deed to be used for neighborhood revitalization programs and for other purposes. A resolution to grant a franchise to 201 West Capitol LLC to place a canopy in a small structure within the city right-of-way at 2015 West Capitol Avenue and for other purposes. That concludes the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The consent agenda is adopted. I'm going to now go back to a presentation that we'd like to make, recognizing this is a very special week, and I'm going to go down to the podium for this. I'll Be right back.
Don't give her the hammer.
Don't give her the hammer. As is often the case, I have the opportunity to recognize important and significant events that occur in our city and to issue proclamations as the mayor. And I'm very happy to do this in this particular instance, not just as the mayor, but for every one of our single elected officials, the board of directors that are in front of me. So I want to thank you for joining me in this proclamation, which reads as follows. Know ye all people by these present greetings. Whereas our lives continue to be scarred by the consequences of violence and war in our communities, our state, our country, and indeed across the world, and whereas Little Rock Peace Week, a coalition of organizations, faith groups, and individuals have joined together with a mission to promote peace, instill justice and war, alleviate poverty, protect planet Earth, and eliminate the scourge of violence in our society. And whereas the International Day of Peace is commemorated on September 21st, and throughout that week, Little Rock citizens will plan activities to educate and to promote peace and justice in our community and raise awareness of organizations working to build a lasting peace in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas. And whereas Little Rock Peace Week will partner with the Little Rock School District and with Central High National Historic Site to provide local youth education, service and outreach activities that promote peacemaking, nonviolence, social justice, ecological stewardship, and community building. And whereas the lessons learned and the relationships formed during this week create a foundation for continuing a sustainable peace in our society throughout the entire year. Now, therefore, I, Mark Sotola, Mayor of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, and the City of Little Rock Board of Directors do hereby proclaim September 16th through the 23rd as Little Rock Peace Week here in the City of Little Rock. And we urge all citizens to make peace in our great city, to act to end the causes of violence and war by respecting the life and dignity of each human being, rejecting violence in all forms, sharing your time and your resources with others, listening to the opinions of others, promoting responsible behavior to protect our environment, and seeking the inclusion and solidarity of all of our people. In witness thereof, we have hereunto sent our hands and seals on this 17th day of September 2018. Very good. Thank you so much for participating. Very important message to give to our citizens.
I think some folks are here, Mayor.
Pardon?
I think some folks are here to receive the proclamation.
Present this to you?
Yes, sir.
Great. Come forward, please.
We really appreciate this.
Here, I'll let you come to the dais.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
You bet.
Thank you for the whole board for this. It's important work that we're doing. It's the fourth year we've had Arkansas Peace Week here in Little Rock, and we look to expand it. This year we have a particular focus on our school district here and giving youth the tools to promote peace within their own lives and their communities. Thank you very much.
Mayor.
Yes, Director Richardson, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, and for everyone who's worked on this proclamation. I think it's fantastic gesture for our community. I think, too, though, Mayor, one of the things we did to recognize, two quick points, is I think Dr. Computer, he was here, he would agree with me that the improper diagnosis of the problem would render an improper prescription for the problem. And unlike the 90s, early 90s, where we had a lot of violence in our community, where it was centered around gangs, names, and colors, that's a different cause today. I think a lot of it has to do with unemployment, underemployment, and those economic factors in our community that we need to utilize as public safety strategy. So we need to have, I think, a paradigm shift utilizing community building as one of the ways we address public safety. And we also need to remember, I think you said a couple of things, that peace is more than the absence of war, and we need to understand that.
Director Hendricks, you're recognized, please.
Thank you. May I have a copy of that? Another
Proclamation?
Yes.
Certainly. We'll
Yes.
make, I know we have it on file, and I'll be happy to get you one, Director Hendricks.
I'd love it. Thank you.
You bet. Okay, we can now move on to the grouped items. Items 11 through 13 on our agenda. Madam Clerk, if you would, please give us the first reading.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Copper Run Subdivision Revised Longform PDR located at 16,901 Pride Valley Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes, an ordinance to condemn certain structures in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas with structural fire and health hazards, to provide for summary abatement procedures, to direct city staff to take such action as is necessary to raise and remove said structures, to declare an emergency, and for the purposes, an ordinance to create the Little Rock Sustainability Commission to set its mission and for the purposes. First reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place these ordinances on second reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Second reading, please.
An ordinance to approve a plan zoning development, establish a planned residential district titled Copper Run Subdivision Revised Longform PDR located at 16,901 Pride Valley Road. An ordinance to condemn certain structures in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas with structural fire and health hazards, to provide for summary abatement procedures, to direct city staff to take such action as is necessary to raise and remove said structures, to declare an emergency. An ordinance to create the Little Rock Sustainability Commission to set its mission and for the purposes. Second reading.
Suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on third and final reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Before we have the third and final reading on item 13, I have one card on that matter that I'll recognize Mr. Scrable for now on item 13. Mr. Scrable?
Good evening. I just had a quick question. In the board communication, they said that there was no fiscal impact on this. So you're going to create a commission, but it's not going to cost the taxpayers a nickel? Is that what we're saying? All the other commissions don't cost us anything? Can someone answer?
Well, this actually is not a task force. It says that on the agenda, but it's actually a mayoral commission that's been in existence since 2008, many, many years now. And we are codifying it as one of our city commissions. It'll go through a process of advertisement for people who will serve on it. It's advisory in nature, and it is staffed by existing city staff members. So there's no additional funding other than what has already been dedicated in terms of employee resources.
I just wanted to verify. Thank you.
Sustainability summit that we've done for many, many years is money comes to us, and we raise money from various sponsors to hold that. As it accents really a progressive nature of what our city's done over the last several years in the area of sustainability.
I have a light on.
Okay, go ahead, Director Hendricks, if you would punch your light, please. You would? Thank you. Go ahead.
On 13, am I in order? That I'm concerned about this commission. When will it go into effect as a commission, and the number of persons that will, total number that will be able to serve on the commission?
Well, there are people that serve on the mayoral commission already. It's got a 15-member commission already. Those people will basically be put into various of those existing 15-member slots. They'll draw for terms, and as they expire, then we'll advertise those positions as we do our other city commissions.
The reason why I asked, the ordinance says to create. So what does the word create mean? I thought this is where something begins. Tom, can you help me?
Director Hendricks, the Sustainability Group is operating as Mayor's Task Force or Mayor's Commission at this point. This ordinance would actually make that a existing and continuing city commission.
Yeah, I hear you, but I'm saying the word create.
Well, we're
This
creating a
shouldn't
new
have existed.
commission. We're creating an official commission for the city of Little Rock pursuant to the statute that gives us authority to do that.
Would you provide the information for me
Yes, ma'am.
in writing? Thank you.
Okay. I believe I heard a motion, a second to suspend the rules and place these ordinances on third reading. So, Madam Clerk, if you would, third reading, please.
An ordinance to approve a plan Zoning Development established a planned residential district titled Copper Run Subdivision, revised long-form PDR, located at 16,901 Pride Valley Road. An ordinance to condemn certain structures in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas with structural fire and health hazards, to provide for summary abatement procedures, to direct city staff to take such action as is necessary to raise and remove said structures, to declare an emergency. An ordinance to create the Little Rock Sustainability Commission, to set its mission and further purposes. Third and final reading.
Thank you. Before I ask for a vote, we have an individual who just arrived who wishes to speak against one of the condemnation matters on ordinance number 12. So let me recognize this individual, Ms. Hernandez.
Sorry, I'm late. We got completely lost. Hi.
You're very close.
I know. I'm so sorry. We got completely
That's okay.
lost.
Go ahead. Which property are you
It's
concerned
actually
with?
my house is 8910 Sunset Lane.
Sunset Lane?
Yeah, 8910
Okay.
Sunset Lane.
Okay, go ahead, please, Ms. Hernandez.
I'm just really asking. I got a contract from a construction company that's actually going to be making the repairs on it. It's not a lot of damage to it. I know it has taken us a while to fix it, but we had a lot of stuff going on with my family. My daughter got very sick, and she was in the hospital for a while. Her brain wasn't able to communicate with her body, and it just backtracked me financially to be able to fix my house. We have a lot of sentimental value to this house because our uncle, which is like our father, gave it to us and left it to us. So I know it has taken us a while to repair it, but I have the contract from the construction company that as soon as I could get the permit, they're able to start working on it.
Okay, do you have finances to be able to proceed with that contract?
I already made an agreement with him. I'm going to give him $6,000 to start, which everything, he said if he has any questions to just go ahead and give him a call. And, but we already have a contract of how we're fixing everything and how we're going to pay him to fix everything, which is not a lot of damages. It's just one, if you could really look at the pictures, it's just a wall and then the flooring that was damaged because of the fire department. When they went in the house, they broke the back door and the front door, and the flooring, the water damage is because of the floor, and then just the ceiling, and that wall. Other than that, all the rest of the house is intact. The restroom, the bathroom, the kitchen, everything else is intact, as you can see in the pictures.
Okay, there are a couple of directors who have questions for you. Director Richardson, you're recognized, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Ms. Hernandez, you made reference to the fact that you have $6,000 to get started. Do you have the complete amount of funding for completion of this?
Yes, yes, I'm getting the rest of the money from my family, which they're going to provide to me.
And if so, what kind of time frame are we looking at for all these repairs you made
He
reference
said
to?
6 months or even less. That's what the contractor we agreed upon was, like a 6 months or even less. As soon as we're able to get a permit, because we can't get a permit because you guys have a hold on it. As long as we're able to get a permit, he could go ahead and start the work on it.
So you have record of the family commitment of
Yes.
assistance, funding? Is there an account or some documentation that we can utilize to verify that you do have, in fact, have the money to?
Yeah, let me ask my sister to log into her account really quick.
But that's, no, I just want something we be able to show the city. That's not for me. I'm never in favor of demolishing buildings, but I'm also never in favor of letting them stay in states that are going to be detrimental to the aesthetic value and infrastructure value of our community. So as your ward representative, Mayor, I'm willing to entertain this motion to, this desire to take this off, provided we have the necessary funding to do this. I would say, I'm not going to say 6 months, I would say 90 days, so that we can see some improvement from city staff. I don't know, Tom, if we're legally allowed to do that, but a certain amount of time that's far less than 6 months to at least show us that there's some marked improvement, some work being done on the property.
Okay.
There's a motion and a second to take this matter off of this particular ordinance, this condemnation ordinance, and to ask for a staff review within 90 days.
Mayor?
Is that correct?
There is, but the write-up notes that this property has been certified to the state. That means that they are back to property taxes which have not been paid for 3 years.
Well, they'll have to redeem that as well. I mean,
I already got the paperwork. I have the redemption. They already sent that to
I mean,
my
they can
email,
redeem
actually.
their own
Yes.
property.
Sure.
Is this titled in your name?
Yes.
It is now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, there's a motion and a second to take this off the condemnation ordinance, to ask for the staff to give us a report and a review back in 90 days.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well,
We got to vote on it first.
just a second, we haven't
sorry.
agreed to that yet.
Sorry.
Okay, is there any other discussion from any board members? All right, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The motion is passed. So, Mr. Hernandez, you've got 90 days to get your contractor working, and these gentlemen in the back are going to raise their hands. Raise your hands back there. Are the ones that you need to work with, okay? So be sure, show them your contract, and be in real close contact with them so they know what you're doing.
Okay. I really
Okay,
appreciate
and
it.
if it doesn't happen, this will be back on another condemnation ordinance, and you probably won't ever get another second
No,
chance.
I
So,
promise you I will get it taken care of. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
very, very good. Okay, we got other directors want to say something. Sorry, I'll get you in just a second, Director Wright. Director Hines.
I think we covered it. Sorry.
Director Hendricks.
Okay, I think that you all have heard me say that I watched Mr. Moore, and Mr. Moore really had something to say about this, but it's after the fact. You know, I'm going to protect you, okay?
You know, you said that the other day, and but I believe me, if I need to say something, the mayor normally recognizes me. So.
I have to get on the mayor to make sure he knows that you're over there, okay? Thank you.
Director Wright.
Thank you. Mayor, I just wanted to make sure that she didn't have any difficulty getting the permit, because I know some people have come back and said they couldn't get the permit and that they couldn't get the work started because of that. So is there something else we need to do, staff, so to make sure that she can get the permits to go ahead and get started?
Once the board acts, once we've condemned or we recommend condemning a piece of property, then once it's in the system and the pipeline, we don't turn around and issue a permit until it gets to this level. But once the board acts, as it is done, then obviously that's a clear indication that we will work with Ms. Hernandez to get her permit and report back in 90 days.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I know we've had people come back and say that they tried to get the permit and then couldn't get it, so I just wanted to.
Thank you. I because I cannot get it because I tried to go get it and they said that I
Well,
couldn't
that
get
was
it.
because it was on this ordinance.
Okay, so now that
So now those two gentlemen back there, along with the one that just waved his hand, Mr. Collins, will be the ones you want to be dealing with, okay?
perfect. Thank
All
you.
right.
I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and bless you.
Thank you. Okay, we've had 3 readings, and we have, let me ask for passage of the ordinances and item 12 as amended. Mr. Moore, did you have something? As amended, yes. All in favor of the passage of those ordinances as amended indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ordinances have passed. All right, the next item we have on our agenda is a public hearing on ordinance number 14. Let me go ahead and open up the public hearing and ask if there's anybody who wishes to speak either for or against this ordinance that is abandoning a portion of a city right-of-way. Anybody that wishes to speak for or against? No one I see wants to speak, so we'll close the public hearing. Let me go ahead and ask for the first reading of the ordinance.
An ordinance to abandon a portion of the 30-foot wide Lehman Lane right-of-way located in Section 1 and Section 12 of Township 1 North and R14W in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, lying south of Block 2, Irish Edition, less and except the north 110 feet thereof, containing approximately 3,190 linear feet of a 30-foot wide Layman Road right-of-way, and for the purposes first reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on second reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Second reading, please.
Okay, thank you. An ordinance to abandon a portion of the 30-foot wide Layman Lane right-of-way located in Section 1 and Section 12 of Township 1 North and Range 14 West in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, lying south of Block 2, Irish Edition, less and except the north 110 feet thereof, containing approximately 3,190 linear feet of a 30-foot wide Layman Lane road right-of-way. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on third and final reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Third and final reading, please.
An ordinance to abandon a portion of the 30-foot wide Layman Lane right-of-way located in Section 1 and Section 12 of Township 1 North and Range 14 West in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, lying south of Block 2, Irish Edition, less and except the north 110 feet thereof, containing approximately 3,190 linear feet of a 30-foot wide Layman Lane road right-of-way. Third and final reading.
Any discussion by board members? Seeing none, all in favor of the passage of this ordinance indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. The ordinance is passed. We can now move on to our final item on the agenda, which is citizen communication. And I have 3 cards. First card is from Mr. Russ Rakop, wanting to discuss discrimination during the citizen communications segment of our board meetings.
Thank you, Mayor.
Oh, I think, okay. Get a copy of that and give me one of these.
Are they all the same?
Is it just 2 pages?
3 pages.
Oh, 3 pages. Okay. I got more.
Okay.
It's true.
This starts, one of the handouts you're going to get is a card from November the 7th of 2017. That's when Kimberly Mincy filled out a card to speak, and she wasn't recognized. And the explanation I received was that she didn't mark on there that whether she wished to speak for or against. Now, I've been approached if I didn't have something on there correctly and asked to mark it or check it, but that didn't happen with Ms. Mincy. And I think it was interesting in the fact that she's a black business owner in the city who had an issue that she wasn't treated very well by the city, and then this night she wanted to speak about a white business owner that was opening up a block or 2 from her house, putting in a massage parlor, and she wasn't allowed to speak. Now, it probably wouldn't have made any difference in the decision, but it goes to show the discrimination that we have here at the board. Then on a second one, on January the 30th, myself, Reverend Benny Johnson, Chief Ian Lee Bordeaux wanted to speak. And there was a great bit of discussion with the mayor and the city attorney, what we could say, what we couldn't say. And then Attorney Chris Burke got up and spoke about the lawsuit, and he set the record straight that he could speak pretty much about what he wanted to, and nobody said a word. Then last week, I turned in a card, and the mayor said my topic wasn't specific enough, and you'll have in front of you the 3 cards that spoke at the citizen communication on September the 4th. First card, it's got specific topic, United Cerebral Palsy. Then you've got mine, it says LRPD/city manager policy changes in current issues. And then the last one was trash. Well, the man that had trash, I think, went first, and maybe, there was a 30-minute discussion. And, trash, I don't know how that can be any more vague in some way with cerebral palsy, but I noticed that the mayor didn't call either of these gentlemen up and give them the 3rd degree. Now, I realize we have a last-term mayor, and that may not change, but we had Mr. Scrable here holding signs. We've had people been told they can't do that. It violates their First Amendment rights. And you guys need to get your stuff together and quit violating rights and coming up with these crazy jackleg procedures about you can't have signs and all that, and then not produce an ordinance that prohibits that. Thank you for your time.
I would note that on Mr. Rakoff's card, it indicated policy changes, and I asked Mr. Rakoff what that meant, and he came forward and told me social media at the LRPD, and I put that on his card. So, again, the issue is to be specific about this, not to be general. We don't try to repeat things day in and day out or from one week to the next if they've already been brought to our attention. I think we're very liberal, allowing whatever type of comment or criticism there is of the city or the city directors. We all have been there before, and we understand that there are viewpoints that are different than ours at times, and there are grievances that people have, and I think we do as best we can to try and keep some legitimate control and have an orderly meeting. So with that said, let me call on Mr. Scrable for his specific issue, which is why Director Hines and City Attorney Carpenter lied on your 2010 Code of Ethics complaint. Mr. Scrable.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Directors. Yes, that is what I'm trying to find out. I contacted Mr. Hines a couple times, several years ago, again recently. I thought he might want to clear his name and not be categorized as a liar, but he turned me down. The problem I'm having is that Mr. Hines told a lie that was told to him by the city attorney, but there's no verification that it wasn't anything but a lie. The biggest issue I have after the lie was taken is that then Mr. Hines refused to obey the Code of Ethics law. He didn't write his report, he didn't investigate, and he didn't administer the discipline. So, number one, the board of directors and all the citizens' money is not to go to get lied to, cheated, or robbed. And we're also not here to have made all board of directors aware that crimes are committed. And when you don't use your authority, Director Hines, that is an instance of malfeasance, a transgression, especially the wrongful exercise of lawful authority. You have an obligation when every one of y'all sign your oaths of office in January to uphold all the laws of the state, local laws, federal laws, constitutional law. When you openly lie to us, and then you do that to get out of doing your job, which is obeying the law and enforcing the law, I'm here to ask all directors why I need to pay you past today any more money. Would anybody like to answer? Director Hendricks, Richardson, Ms. Peck, Ms. Webb, Ms. Wyrick, Mr. Hines, Ms. Adcock, Ms. Wright. Mayor, would you like to answer why we need to pay y'all if you look the other way at liars and cheats and thieves, and you're looking away at Mr. Hines right now, and he didn't obey the law? Why aren't there policemen in here arresting y'all when you break the law? Malfeasance, nonfeasance, misfeasance, moral turpitude. Can anybody answer, or do we get the Mount Rushmore routine? That's where you look at me with your heads made of stone. Got stone ears, you don't hear me. Stone eyes, you don't see me. And stone mouths, and you don't say anything when I move from this podium. Now will y'all? Thank you.
Now, Mr. Scrable, if you think a crime has been committed, go to the prosecutor's office and make a complaint. That is the proper procedure to be done. And you know that. You have been told that before. So if you think that there are crimes that are being committed by public officials or city employees, then you should go to the prosecutor's office and make a complaint.
You have no conscience.
All right, the next card we have is from Danny Lewis. Mr. Lewis, are you here?
He just walked out the room, man.
Good evening, Board, Mayor, my good friends. My name is Danny Lewis, and I'm put the card up there to.
You want to speak about dumping?
Dumping, yes, thank you. But I was coming to think that you did show some compassion to the young lady there with her house, and I'm quite impressed because everybody doesn't get that treatment, but that was good. I'm proud of you. Dumping. At the corner of Charles Bussey and 20th and Izzard, or Charles Bussey and Izzard, there is a 8-unit apartment building that has couches, trees, bunch of stuff there. And it is being used for a constant dumping ground. The city comes through, picks it up, and right back the next week it has some more. I know there is I'm just trying to get some airtime here so people can see my face. But
Citizen communication is for complaints, not for
I
campaigning.
know.
Mr. Lewis, you know better
but
than
this-
that.
Yes, sir. But at the corner of Charles Bussey and Izzard Street is this eight-unit building that is abandoned, had a fire in it, and it has all of this debris out there. And the reason I'm here, my wife told me to come down here. I thank you for your time.
Mr. Moore, if you would have staff go out and check this particular location, and if the apartment building is burned, please give us a report on what the condition is and whether it's going to be rehabbed or what actually is going on. Thank you. Yes, go ahead. If you,
You got something up, man.
okay, sorry about that. Go ahead, Director. Director Hendricks, go ahead. Push your button.
Okay.
There you go. Now you just turned yourself off. All right, now try it.
Okay, I got a message with my opponent. He said Danny said his wife told him to come down here. I'll talk to her when I get home.
Good. All right. This is not a forum for campaigning, despite the fact that there are people who are running for office who have come to the podium tonight. Director Wright.
Yes, Mayor. Regarding our resolution on the prescription drug card from the NLC, I'd like to the city manager and staff to work on planning a launch for that so that we can let the citizens of Little Rock know that will be available to them.
Very good.
Thank you.
Director Richardson.
Move to adjourn, Mayor.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Director Wyrick, do you have an objection to that? I'll take comments on motion to adjourn. I take it you don't want to.
Question,
All right.
just one question. Mr. Moore, I'm hearing from the staff that on the storm damage that happened on July 21st, I think, that we're getting close to finishing up the free pickup for trees and debris. Do you have a cutoff time for that? I'm still seeing a lot of stuff in the neighborhood. I'm seeing stuff that's not chopped up. It's still in the area. So we need to encourage our folks to finish their work and pull it to the curb. But I think we need to give them a deadline because there's still a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, we haven't come up with one yet because what we normally do is we have a good sense of what storm debris and try to get all that up before we start. And it typically happens that some people sort of take advantage of this was storm debris and it just got out last week though. But so we usually have a good sense of when we need to go back to saying, all right, now we're back to normal yard waste.
But you haven't made that decision.
I haven't.
Well, it all looks dead right now. So the new stuff will still have some green on it probably.
Right. That's sort of our litmus
Yeah.
test.
Okay, that's your litmus test. Okay, will you let us know when you say we're not going to do it anymore?
We will.
Okay, thank you. See that one wrong?
Director Hendricks.
I wanted to ask Mr. Moore, for the first time, I did see a residence paperwork where you get a notice from housing. How much does it cost to do that? You've got certified, you've got this, you've got that. How much does it cost?
We can provide you sort of annually what we did in 2017 and and then year-to-date in 2018.
And what's your cost per
Right,
mail out? Yeah.
We'll provide that.
Yeah, we need it because that's a waste of money. It is a and I wish the staff that works for you would be bold enough to tell them what they think about stuff, because I would go out there and give them hell. I do. I'm talking about the staff, but they don't want to fool with Mr. Moore. But we're going to have to. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, there's been a motion to adjourn. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. We're in adjournment. Thank you all for attending.